It's 2009. The housing market is in absolute shambles. The fourth Fast and Furious movie just came out. But most importantly, it was the first year the MLB draft was televised on the MLB network. In other leagues, draft night is one of the biggest nights of the year. Incoming prospects dressed to the nines, and overall it's a very exciting night for the fans and players. Top draft picks are usually immediate difference makers for the teams that draft them, with teams going as far as tanking for better draft positions. Baseball, on the other hand, is a little different. 1/3 of first-round draft picks will never even play in the MLB, and most players will spend at least a few years in the minors before we even see them in the bigs. This causes the MLB draft to have almost zero hype, and 2009 was no different, as only one prospect even bothered to show up for the draft. The first pick is Steven Strasburg, a generational pitching prospect, and the picks just keep coming. But the only kid who showed up still has to wait. 24 picks have now passed, with everyone waiting for this kid to get drafted, now dangerously close to falling out of the first round, until they finally call his name.
Michael Trout.
Despite being the Angels' second pick in the draft, Mike Trout would be the greatest decision the organization ever made.
Drifting out toward right center, Trout at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch! Still moving over, dives, and he got it! Breaky pitch out toward left, going back on it is gone!
Mike Trout crushes one! He's staring that one down! Wow! Number 40!
The 17-year-old, fresh out of high school, would start his career in the minors, playing for the Arizona Angels of the Arizona League. He would play well, earning a promotion to the Class A Midwest League, and entering the 2010 season, he was considered the third best prospect in the Angels organization, and the 85th best prospect in all of baseball. After performing well in the Class A Midwest League once again, he would be named the second best prospect in baseball, be moved up to the Class A Advanced California League, and become the youngest person to ever receive the Topps Minor League Player of the Year award at just 19 years old. Now considered a budding superstar, Mike Trout would start the 2011 season with the Arkansas Travelers of the Class AA Texas League before making his big league debut this same year. He would debut on July 8th and play 12 games before being sent back down to AA and picking up more Minor League Player of the Year honors. It was extremely evident that it was only a matter of time before Mike Trout became a mainstay in the Angels lineup, and that would become a reality in 2012. After recording a ridiculous batting average of .403 in AAA, Trout was brought back to the Angels and was undoubtedly their best player from the jump. He made his first All-Star game, hit .323, led all of baseball in stolen bases and runs, while recording a mind-boggling MLB high 10.5 wins above replacement. Just to put that number into perspective, only these two players have recorded a higher single-season WAR since, which, while not a perfect statistic, basically measures a player's value to their team. Trout was given AL Rookie of the Year unanimously, and was arguably snubbed for the AL MVP, losing out to Miguel Cabrera. I really can't stress enough just how insane this rookie season was. Because of the development that many players go through in the minors, the average debut age in the MLB is 24 years old. Mike Trout was just 20 years old during this season. To come into the league that young and immediately be in conversations of the best in baseball is practically unheard of. And despite his team barely missing the playoffs with 89 wins, it was clear that big things were ahead for Mike Trout and the Angels. In 2013, despite the Angels regressing from 89 wins to 78, Trout would prove his rookie season was not a fluke, making another All-Star appearance, leading the MLB in WAR once again, and finishing runner-up in the AL MVP vote to Miguel Cabrera for a second time. He became the youngest player in the American League to hit for the cycle, the quickest player since 1940 to score 200 career runs, and led the American League in both walks and runs. The Angels had clearly struck gold late in the first round, and having former MVPs in Josh Hamilton and Albert Pujols on the roster, it seemed that the team was gearing up to compete for a World Series. And in 2014, the Angels finished the regular season with the best record in baseball and the highest powered offense. Trout became the 6th player ever to win the All-Star Game MVP and regular season MVP in the same year, as well as becoming the 17th player to win the MVP award unanimously. Trout and the Angels were on top of baseball entering the playoffs, but they would quickly be kicked to the curb as they were swept in the ALDS by the Kansas City Royals. A disappointing end to an otherwise great season. They didn't know it yet, but this would be the most recent playoff game they've played at the time of recording, marking the longest postseason drought in the MLB. As I'm sure you can imagine, the team would then take a step back in 2015, missing the playoffs. But Mike Trout stayed on top, leading the AL in WAR with 9.5. He would come runner-up for the AL MVP for the 3rd time, becoming the 3rd player since Barry Bonds to finish top 3 in voting for the award in 4 straight seasons. Ironically, one of his future teammates would eventually join this exclusive list. But anyway, the year after that, he would break through again and win the award, meaning Mike Trout was either the MVP or runner-up in all of his first 5 full seasons. This also made him the first Angel to win the award more than once at just the age of 25, with plenty of baseball still ahead of him. Trout started off the 2017 season very well until a thumb injury in May sidelined him for 39 games. Despite the missed time, he would still make the All-Star game, lead his team in runs, home runs, stolen bases, walks, and batting average, and he also finished an impressive 4th in AL MVP voting. Despite Trout's solid individual season, the team still finished below 500 and missed the playoffs yet again. It seemed like the Angels could be wasting the career of one of the best players of all time. Until that December, when they won the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. Obviously, Ohtani is currently a stud in his own right for the Dodgers, but it's not like this superstar came out of nowhere. Immediately on his arrival to the MLB, he was considered the top prospect over the likes of Ronald Acuna Jr. and Vlad Guerrero Jr. His arrival to the Angels sent fans into a frenzy, with some thinking they could be legit contenders, but leaving others still skeptical. Ironically, in their first season together, even with Trout putting up fantastic numbers and finishing runner-up in the AL MVP voting, and Ohtani picking up AL Rookie of the Year, the Angels finished with the exact same record in 2018 as they did in 2017. The following year, Ohtani was coming off Tommy John surgery, so the Angels would not get the benefit of his pitching. However, Trout would pick up the slack. Now the highest paid player in North American sports, he would win his 3rd MVP, while his team fell to their lowest win total in 20 years. The Angels had the best player in baseball and the best young player in baseball, but still finished 24 games outside of the playoffs, and things would not get any better. 2020 was the shortened COVID year, and while Trout stayed healthy and finished a respectable 5th in MVP voting, Ohtani would have the worst season of his career, only pitching 2 games before being shut down with an elbow injury and batting under 200 on the year. As you can guess, the team stunk and did not make the playoffs. In 2021, the superstar started out hot. Ohtani made the All-Star game as both a hitter and pitcher, but in May, Trout seemingly had a minor calf injury and was expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. That 6 to 8 weeks turned into 2 to 3 months, and eventually he was shut down for the season altogether. It was terrible luck for the Angels, as Ohtani would win unanimous AL MVP and turn in a season that has been regarded as the greatest individual season in sports history. Despite this, some things just never change, and the Angels still finished below 500. These 2 players were just out of sync, never being able to be healthy at the peak of their abilities or at the same time. And unfortunately in baseball, you're only as good as your surrounding cast, and the Angels, very evidently, did not have a very good one. In 2022, they would both be relatively healthy, with Ohtani only missing a handful of games and Trout missing about a quarter of the season with back problems. Ohtani would finish 2nd in MVP voting and 4th in Cy Young voting, while Trout would finish 8th in MVP voting. But it's really just a broken record at this point, and they would only squeak out 73 wins, the 2nd lowest in Trout's career. I understand they paid him a ton of money, but Mike Trout has to be the most loyal man who has ever lived, sticking with the team that drafted him through the lows and the lower lows. Unsurprisingly, the Angels would have the same record next year in Ohtani's last season with the team, meaning the Angels failed to do anything with 2 generational players on their roster at the peak of their powers, albeit with some injury issues. And in 2024, Trout could not catch a break as he would tear his meniscus and only play 29 games. The Angels, without their 2 Hall of Famers, would put up the 4th worst record in baseball. And that takes us to where we are today, in 2025. Mike Trout is back on the field, but it remains to be seen if they'll turn their fortunes around. If I were a betting man, I would bet the house against them. Any team and fan base would kill for a player like Mike Trout. He's an absolute workhorse, and loyal to a fault, quite literally. While the Angels took a chance on him at 17 years old, they haven't built all the key pieces around him necessary to make a real run, and the results show it. They haven't been above 500 once since 2015, while having potentially 2 of the best players of the decade on their team. Personally, this would send me running to any other team that would give me money, but Trout has publicly stated his desire to win a World Series with the team that drafted him, and only the team that drafted him, as he would see leaving for a ring as taking the easy way out. It's really insane to say that we were robbed of what Mike Trout's career could have been because of injuries, as we got to see him win 3 AL MVPs, but it's true. People get caught up in the big names of the present with players who play for the best teams, and are quick to overlook Mike Trout, as he's not the flashiest player, isn't in the media too often, and has only been to the playoffs once. To the media, Mike Trout is just a little boring. Immediately on arrival to the bigs, he was one of the best players around. He's extremely humble and doesn't cause any drama, and he doesn't play for a massive organization like the Yankees or Dodgers. He's not going to hit Aaron Judge levels of homers or be batting and pitching like his former teammate, but when he's not hurt, he's going to be an all-star level hitter and extremely solid on defense. When Trout won his 3rd MVP at just the age of 27, he was on track to be easily the best player of his generation and potentially the greatest of all time. But as injuries have derailed the second half of his career, I'll be rooting for the now 33-year-old to return to his former glory. His career trajectory almost seemed like fate from the beginning.
I'm telling you, when you look back at the 2009 draft, what are you going to remember? Steven Strasburg, and you're going to remember Mike Trout.
I find this quote to be extremely funny because of just how accurately it turned out. People remember Steven Strasburg for his World Series MVP in 2019, which led to the Nationals paying him $245 million over 7 years. This contract could unfortunately be what he is most well known for, as he would only pitch 31 innings after signing it before injuries would force him to retire. But over to Trout. They believed people would remember him as that one kid who showed up to the draft in 2009, an obscure bit of trivia knowledge for the baseball nerds and nothing more. But instead, they will remember him for his absurd run of dominance, unwavering loyalty to his team, and first ballot Hall of Fame status he will receive when he retires.